Welcome back, student. Welcome to the class. So now we will discuss the test of the ozone. Now, what will the ozone do? Ozone will convert a starch iodine paper blue. What does happen when you take a filter paper and soaked in a solution of starch plus iodide, and you pass ozone through that? The iodide will convert to iodine. This iodine and this starch will turn the paper blue. Then you have tailing of the mercury. Now, mercury does not stick to the glass, but mercury loses its meniscus when in contact with ozone. I am repeating once more, the mercury loses its meniscus, that is called as tailing of the mercury, lose its meniscus when it is in contact with what? When it is in contact with the ozone. The reason being that the ozone transforms mercury into mercurous oxide, that is Hg2O, and this is known as tailing of mercury. Mercury does not stick to the glass and is therefore used in thermometers. But mercurous oxide formed in the reaction, it dissolved the mercury and starts sticking to the glass surface. And due to that, what happens? And due to that, it is called as tailing of the mercury. Okay, it transforms silver into silver oxide. So it causes what? It causes silver foil to become black. Okay, then it transforms benzidine paper brown and tetramethyl base violet in color. Are you sure about that? Benzidine paper brown and tetramethyl base violet. Sure about that or not? Now you have polyoxides. What are polyoxides? They contain more oxygen than the normal oxidation number of the metal. Okay, then there is metal oxygen bond and there is also oxygen bond in these type of compound. So number one is peroxide. Everyone knows that peroxide is O2 negative. So there is this type of bond exists there, and if you have metal there, then metal can have form bond here. Are you sure about that or not? So that's how it has been formed. Sure. So peroxide, they contain iron. What they contain ions and produce which ion? I told you peroxide anion. This is peroxide anion, and produce hydrogen peroxide with dilute acid and with the liberation of oxygen gas. Like you have barium. What you have barium peroxide, then you have formation of H2O2. But if you use concentrated sulfuric acid, then also you will have the formation of these type of compound. Then you have superoxide. Superoxide is O2 negative. That is what happens, that in this case both the oxygen are minus half containing charge. Now they contain superoxide ion. When superoxide ion react with water, it produces hydrogen peroxide and oxygen gas. Okay, what is this? This is very well known that in cinema halls and in you can say in submarines, in case of shopping malls, in case of crowded places where you require oxygen, then you use potassium superoxide, because potassium superoxide, when it is present in the air, it absorbs the moisture and decomposes to produce oxygen. Okay, that's why in aeroplanes, in submarines, in crowded places, in almost all the places, you will have function of superoxide as one of the component there. Then you have dioxides. So they give chlorine with concentrated HCl and oxygen with H2SO4. Such compounds are MnO2 and PbO2. When MnO2 react with HCl, it gives you chlorine gas. With MnO2 react with H2SO4, it will produce you O2 gas. So that is very, very important. You have to understand that. Okay, then you have what? Then you have presence of dioxides. They give chlorine with HCl and oxygen with H2SO4. I already discussed with you. Then you have suboxides. Okay, they contain lower percentage of oxygen. Okay, like N2O and C3O2. These are example of what? These are examples of what? These are examples of suboxides. Similarly, carbon also there. Carbon suboxide is like that. Then you have mixed oxide. Okay, red lead, that is popularly known as Sindoor, is actually a mixed oxide. In that, PbO2 lead in plus 4 state and PbO lead exists in plus 2 state. Similarly, in magnetite ore, Fe3O4, you have Fe2O3, that is iron in plus 3 state, and FeO, iron in plus 2 state. So Fe3O4 is a mixture of Fe2O3 plus FeO, and similarly Pb3O4 is a mixture of PbO2 and PbO. So definitely in these type of compound, the central metal atom exists in two different oxidation state. Okay, that's why they are called as what? They are called as what? They are called as mixed oxide. Now you have what? You have acidic oxide. Now oxides of the non-metals are generally known as acidic oxide. Why? Because when oxides of non-metals are dissolved in water, they produce acidic oxide or acid. They produce H plus ion in aqueous medium. Carbon dioxide, NO2, P2O5, SO2, SO3, Cl2O7, Cl2O3. All of them are what? All of them are example of acidic oxide. And remember that in case of non-metal especially, higher the oxygen state of the central element, more will be the acidic nature. Like if you have N2O5 and NO2, then definitely N2O5 is more acidic than NO2, because NO2 in plus 4 state and N2O5 in plus 5 state. Similarly, in case of Cl2O3 and Cl2O5 and Cl2O7, definitely chlorine in plus 7 state is more acidic than what? So all these things must be memorized by you. Similarly, one more example, that is some metallic oxide like Mn2O7, B2O5 and CrO3. You have heard them in D block also, that these are all D block oxides. But all metal oxides are basic in nature or somewhat amphoteric in nature. But these oxides are what? They are what? They are acidic in nature. That is the specialty. So Mn2O7, B2O5 and CrO3, they are what? They are the acidic oxides. Similarly, basic oxide. Basic oxides are ionic in nature. Oxides of alkali earth metals, N2O, CaO, barium oxide. Okay, all of them are what? All of them are generally basic oxide, and when they dissolve in water, they produce hydroxide ion. Covalent oxide, oxide like CuO, FeO. Okay, they are covalent in nature, and more importantly, they are insoluble in water. Okay, basically beryllium oxide and Mg are also more covalent in nature, but they are soluble in water. That is the difference. Okay, I am repeating once more. Okay, similarly Al2O3 is amphoteric in nature. So amphoteric oxides are those oxides, these are L2O3, Al2O3, basically covalent in nature. So amphoteric oxides are those oxides which can show both acidic as well as basic behavior. Okay, oxides of lead, okay, oxides of gallium, oxides of tin. Okay, all of them are what? All of them are amphoteric in nature. All of them are amphoteric in nature. Simply zinc oxide, Al2O3, tin oxide, PbO, gallium oxide. These are popular examples of amphoteric oxide. When these amphoteric oxides dissolved with base, they react like an acid, and when they react with an acid, they act like a base. Okay, look at that. Zinc oxide gives you sodium zincate with NOH and give you ZnCl2 in presence of what? In presence of HCl. Sure about that or not? Similarly, there are neutral oxides. Neutral oxides are those oxides which do not combine with either acid or base. So such acids do not combine with acid or base. NO, N2O, carbon monoxide, and H2O. Okay, these are what? These are the various types of what? These are the various types of neutral oxide. These are the various types of neutral oxides. Remember that or not? Sure. Now we talk about sulfur. Okay, so sulfur exists in freely in all volcanic regions, but in combined state it exists in the gypsum, sea salicide, galena, zinc blende, copper pyrite, iron pyrite. So sulfide is a very, you can say, abundant element is one of the properties. Ordinary sulfur is pale yellow, insoluble in water but dissolved in carbon disulfide. Okay, generally the sulfur deposits are found in the upper layer of the earth, and by frost process sulfur has been taken out from the sulfur depository in the form of a colloidal state. Okay, that is called as frost process. So it is insoluble in water but soluble in carbon disulfide, benzene, and terpene oil. Its crystalline form is rhombic and monoclinic. We already discussed that you in the beginning. And amorphous form is plastic and mixed and colloidal sulfur, that we have also discussed. And we have also discussed the crown shape sulfur and the hexagonal. So we already discussed the S8 and S6 structure of what? Sulfur. So we need not to discuss this again. Now one of the most important compound of sulfur is sulfur dioxide. Okay, so what does happen here, that by heating sulfur in air you can get sulfur dioxide, and roasting of the iron pyrite in excess of air, that you will heard in metallurgy also. Okay, lab method is by heating copper with the concentrated sulfuric acid. Okay, similarly if you take what? Fe sulfide, that is what? FeS2 react with oxygen, you can get Fe2O3 and sulfur dioxide as the product. Sulfur dioxide, what happens? Sulfur exists in +4 state, so it can accept electron and goes to +2, +1, 0, and -2. Similarly, it can lose electron and go to +6 state. Okay, so what can happen here, that sulfur can lose electron and sulfur can accept electron. What? Sulfur can lose electron and sulfur can accept electron to give you different. So what happens here? +4 transform into +2 or +1 or 0 state or -2 state. Okay, while sulfur dioxide transform into +6 state. So here it can here it can accept electron and act as an oxidizing agent, and here it can lose electron and act as an reducing agent. Sure about that? So first we have to look at as a reducing agent, where it give electron, it give electrons, where it provides electron to you. So sulfur dioxide, when react with chlorine, it gives you what? Chlorine transform into -1. So here what is happening? Here chlorine transform into chloride, and that is -1. Similarly, sulfur dioxide is here, Fe in +3 state becomes +2 state. iodine here in +5 state, here in 0 state. So remember that IO3 negative, that is called as iodate ion. Iodate ion transform into iodine by sulfur dioxide. Similarly, KMnO4 transform into MnSO2. That is also a test of sulfur dioxide. Okay, KMnO4 is purple in color, but MnSO4 is slightly pink or colorless in nature. So when a filter vapor dipped with KMnO4 is taken and sulfur dioxide is passed over that, then the purple color of the filter vapor is become colorless or become slightly pink in color due to the formation of Mn2 plus ion. So that is a test of SO2 also. Similarly, potassium dichromate is what? That is orange in color. When sulfur dioxide is passed through that, it becomes green in color. That is due to the formation of Cr3 plus Cr2. Here it is forming chromic sulfate. Now what has happened here? That is also taken as a test of SO2. When you take SO2, take a filter vapor and soaked with potassium dichromate, the filter vapor becomes orange in color. The source which is producing SO2, when that SO2 gas is passed through the filter vapor containing dichromate, the orange color of the filter vapor becomes green in color. So that is also a test of sulfur dioxide. Now look at that again once more, that as an oxidizing agent, what will happen? Sulfur dioxide will accept electron. So here what happens? Sulfur in -2 state, it becomes in 0 state. So sulfide ion has lost electron, and sulfur will what formed here. Similarly, sulfur dioxide accept electron. Similarly, sulfur dioxide when react with magnesium ribbon, it form MgO plus colloidal sulfur is obtained. Sulfur dioxide when react with iron gives you FeO plus FeS. So you can see there here sulfur exists in -2 state. Similarly, lead in +4 state, but here lead in +2 state. Okay, sure about that or not? So that's from where it can accept electron. Answer is from burning of the potassium. Potassium burns in SO2 gives sulfate, thiosulfate. So what happens there? K2SO2 O3 and K2SO3. So sulfite and it is written as sulfate. It should be called sulfite. Sulfite and thiosulfate. That is the structure of thiosulfate. Okay, sure about that or not? Bleaching action. Bleaching action of sulfur is due to reduction. That's why in case of sulfur dioxide, bleaching action can be reversed. Bleaching action of the surface is due to reduction. That's why bleaching action of sulfur dioxide can be reversed. Now look at the hybridization of sulfur. Now in case of sulfur, the configuration is like that. It is 3s2 3p4. So 3s2 3p4. Okay, sure about that or not? But it has availability of what? It has availability of vacant 3d orbitals. 1 2 3 4. So this is 3s, this is 3p, this is 3d. So what happens? One of the electron goes from 3p to 3d. So what happens? Excited state, 1 3p goes to 3d. So one electron from 3p. So what happens? So it becomes this. But only these orbitals undergo hybridization to give you sp2, to give you what? sp2 hybridization. So one is lone pair, other is hybrid orbital. So these two orbitals, what happens? These two orbitals remains unhybridized. These two orbitals they remain unhybridized. Now these unhybridized, this is P and this is D. Unhybridized P and unhybridized D, they are what? They are involved in the formation of P pi and P pi D pi bonding. Okay, this will involve in P pi D pi, this will involve in what? P pi bonding. Sure about that or not? So what does happen here now? That here in this case, sulfur is formed one sigma bond with oxygen. The sulfur will form sigma bond with second oxygen. Okay, it contains one lone pair here. This bond, this pi bond is what? Is P pi bond. While the second bond is what? It is a P pi D pi bond. So this bond is P pi D pi bond. D orbital of sulfur and P orbital of oxygen are involved. This is what? This is P pi bond. What is this? P orbital of sulfur and P orbital of oxygen both are involved here. Sulfur trioxide. Okay, in case of sulfur trioxide, it is produced what? It is being produced by heating what? By heating sulfuric acid with P2O5. Everyone knows that P2O5 is very good. P2O5 is very good dehydrating agent. Is very good what? Dehydrating agent. It can absorb water. So what can happen? H2SO4 absorb, P2O5 absorb water from H2SO4 and transform into SO3. Okay, clearly understood. Second is that in the contact process, so this is known as metaphosphoric acid. It is called as what? Metaphosphoric acid. So metaphosphoric acid and SO3 are produced when P2O5 reacts with what? Or heated with H2SO4. The second method is about the production by the contact process when SO2 transform into SO3 by using vanadium pentoxide as the catalyst. So in contact process, V2O5 is used as the catalyst. Properties: it dissolves in water with a loud hissing sound and with the evolution of heat. Okay, why? Because formation of H2SO4 is highly exothermic process. Okay, oleum is a mixture of H2SO4 and SO3. It is acidic in nature. It reacts with all the basic oxides and hydroxide to give you the corresponding salts. It reacts with HCl. That is very interesting. It reacts with HCl to give you chlorosulfonic acid, and that chlorosulfonic acid group has a special property, especially in organic chemistry. Are you sure about that? Now let's talk about what? Let's talk about the hybridization now. In case of sulfur trioxide, what happens? Sulfur has electrons in what? Electrons in S and electrons in P orbitals. Are you sure about that? So what happens? One of the P electron, it get excited to the D level. Sure about that? After that, what happens? After that, one of the S electron, it is excited to the D level. So one of the P orbital, one of the P electron and one of the S electron, it excited to the D level, that is 3D level. Okay, so only these three orbitals will undergo hybridization. to give you what? To give you sp2, to give you what? sp2 hybridization. So 1 2 3, 3 pi bonding can take place, 3 pi bonding can take place. So what has happened here, that in case of what? In case of SO3 there is no lone pair, 3 sigma bonds are there and 3 pi bonds are here. 2, so one of the bond is what? One of the pi bond, there is one p pi bond and there is 2 p pi d pi bond. These yellow are what? Yellow arrow are p pi d pi bond. Okay, and this white arrow is p pi bond. So you can say that number 1 is, and 2 is what? 2 is p pi d pi bond. Are you sure about that? This is number 1. Okay, and this is number 2 bond. So that is easy to understand. Now let's talk about what? Let's talk about the contact process. Okay, this is the contact process for the manufacturing of H2SO4, that is sulfuric acid, production of SO2. It is produced by burning sulfur and iron pyrite and purified by treating with steam to remove the dust particle. The arsenic is removed by ferric hydroxide, water vapor is removed by concentrated sulfuric acid. The gases are filtered through coke filters and purified is tested by the Tyndall box. The conversion of SO2 and SO3 is very, very important. That is the main point in contact process, because vanadium pentoxide is used as a catalyst. Okay, sure about that? What is that? Vanadium pentoxide is used as a catalyst nowadays. Earlier days, platinized asbestos is used, but that is costly and it is easily poisoned by the various types of the particles present in the mixture. So sulfur dioxide transformed to sulfur trioxide and lot of heat is being produced. The SO3 produced is absorbed by concentrated sulfuric acid, and in the market it is sold in the name of oleum, that is H2S2O7, that is called oleum or pyrosulfuric acid. Oleum and pyrosulfuric acid, this is very important. The reason being that after formation of this compound, you can make H2SO4 of any desired amount whatsoever you like. Now let's look at the flow chart of the contact process for the manufacturing of sulfuric acid. In the first chamber, the sulfur and air are being heated. Along with sulfur, you have various types of sulfides. Ores can also be taken, and sulfur dioxide is one of the products as the roasting takes place here. This sulfur and various other impure gases, they first pass through a dust precipitator, and then water is sprayed on them, so that what happens? So that a lot of dust can be removed. After that, sulfuric acid has been sprayed on that, so that water can be absorbed here also. After that, dry SO2 and O2 are first passed through the chamber containing ferric hydroxide. The reason being that if mixture of sulfur dioxide and oxygen contains arsenic or antimony as the impurity, it can be absorbed by the ferric oxide. Then the mixture is preheated and then introduce a catalytic converter chamber. The chamber contains vanadium pentoxide, and vanadium pentoxide can convert SO2 into SO3. The real process is that SO2 react with vanadium pentoxide to give you SO3 plus V2O4. V2O4 again reacts with oxygen to give back vanadium pentoxide. So that's how the process take place. Okay, sure about that? And after that, the produced SO3 on that concentrated sulfuric acid has been sprinkled and in the form of oleum, because SO3 when mixed with H2SO4 transform into oleum. Now physical properties, that is very very important. Specific gravity is 1.8 and it is 98% by mass. Action of heat. When sulfuric acid is heated, it produces sulfur dioxide and nascent oxygen. That's why it can act as an oxidizing agent. Okay, that's why so many non-metals can be transformed into oxide. So when carbon reacts with sulfuric acid, it gives you carbon dioxide, sulfur gives you sulfur dioxide, potassium iodide can give you iodine, and bromide can give you bromide ion. That's why in organic chemistry KBr and Ki are not used as a nucleophilic source when H2SO4 is used as a acid. The reason being that although KCl in H2SO4 can be used, the reason being that H2SO4 cannot oxidize chloride ion, but H2SO4 can oxidize bromide ion and iodide ion to bromine and iodine. That is why KCl plus H2SO4 can be used as a nucleophilic source, but KBr and Ki cannot be used as a nucleophilic source. The reason being that H2SO4 being an oxidizing agent can also produce bromine from bromide ion and iodine from iodide ion. Next is the displacement reaction. In the displacement reaction, sodium sulfide when react with H2SO4, sodium and hydrogen they exchange their position. Similarly, when NaCl react with H2SO4, hydrogen and sodium displace their position. Similarly, sodium nitrate in H2SO4, what will happen? Displace. So this is one of the best method to produce what? To produce various acids from their salts. So metals above hydrogen in the electrochemical series, they react with dilute acid and produce H2 gas. Okay, like iron, tin, zinc, aluminium, manganese, magnesium. But the metals which are above H2SO4, okay, when they react with considered H2SO4, they produce metal sulfate and along with evolution of sulfur dioxide. That is very very important. You have to memorize that. Dehydrating agent, that is one of the most useful properties of sulfuric acid. When you take an sugar and H2SO4 is passed over that, you can get carbon. Similarly, alcohol when passed over the H2SO4, it will give you ethene. Formic acid will give you carbon monoxide. Oxalic acid can give you both carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. This property of H2SO4 already being asked 3 or 4 times in mains exam, and once in NEET also this question has come. Now reaction with PCl5. With PCl5 it will give you chlorosulfonic acid, okay, and with double the amount of PCl5 it will give you sulfuryl chloride. Okay, sulfonation of various benzene and its derivative can be done directly by using sulfuric acid. Precipitation, barium chloride and lead chloride and lead nitrate, they give their white precipitate. Okay, similarly fuming sulfuric acid is a mixture of H2SO4 and SO3. It forms ammonium sulfate when react with ammonia. It used as an oxidizing agent, dehydrating agent, and for the preparation of dyes, drugs, explosive and volatile acids. Okay, the sulfur here is sp3 hybridized. It is sp3 hybridized, and you have two p pi bond here. Sorry, p pi d pi bond here. So that's how you can form that. Are you sure about that? Clear, understood? So this bond is p pi d pi. This bond also p pi d pi. So both the pi bonds in sulfuric acids are p pi d pi bond. I am repeating once more. Both the pi bond in sulfuric acid are p pi. Now let's look at the various structures of the various sulfurous acid series. That is called sulfurous acid. So it is, look at the structure, 2 OH bond and 1 oxygen bond is there. So This is called as sulfuric. It is pyrosulfurous acid. It is called pyrosulfurous acid. Okay, that is H2S2O7. Then you have dithionous acid. This is dithionous acid. H2S2O4. Then you have sulfuric acid series. You have sulfuric acid series, H2SO4. Then you have thiosulfuric acid. One of the oxygen is replaced by sulfur. Then you have pyrosulfuric acid. Two molecule of H2SO4. Okay, one of the water molecule is lost, and you have pyrosulfuric acid. Okay, sure about that or not? So sulfuric acid is what? Sulfuric acid. Look at the structure of sulfuric acids. Then look at the structure of thionic acid series. And in the last you have peroxo acid series. This is called as Marshall acid also. Sorry, Caro acid. That is called as what? Caro acids. That is known as Caro acid. Sure about that or not? And if you have what? If you have sulfuric acid like that, so that is peroxo monosulfuric acid. That is peroxo disulfuric acid. That is called as Marshall acid. That is peroxo disulfuric acid. So it is peroxo disulfuric acid, and that is peroxo sulfuric acid. So that's how the bond. So this bond is peroxo bond. This bond is peroxo bond.